Good evening, Professor. Returning from work, I take it? I commend you for working so late into the evening. All of my days at the Academy are enriching thanks to you. Try not to overtax yourself, all right? I'm concerned for your health. We wouldn't want you to wear yourself out. The goddess won't smite you if you rely on others for help, you know. Listen here, Professor. You might not like what I'm about to say. To be perfectly honest, I had my doubts when I first met you. I don't want you to think less of me for saying this, but here we are. At first, I thought you seemed too young to be a professor. It is unusual, you have to admit. Yet you seemed very composed and mature despite your age. You're strong-willed, encouraging, and you go to great lengths to ensure that everyone is cared for. But it almost feels like you're trying too hard to be a perfect role model for your students. If that's how you feel, then I can't disagree. But I think it's necessary to give yourself a break every now and again. The mind has a tendency to make mistakes when you've exhausted yourself. In my case, I still seem to make mistakes even when I'm wide awake. Oh, you know, I'm always mixing up the dates for drills or misplacing things. Just the other day, I forgot to put on my uniform and headed out to practice wearing only my... well, you can imagine how embarrassed I was. My mind can be so scattered sometimes. Anyway, where was I? Ah, that's right. What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't push yourself too hard. If you do, you might end up in a pretty bad place. That reminds me, is there anything I can do to assist you, Professor? If it's all right with you, I'd like to help in any way I can. Whatever you need, just say the word. I look forward to helping you out.
You there, youngster. Won't you listen to this old man's troubles? I was born and raised right here in this town. I spent my whole life here. My daughter lives in the Empire, and she sent me a letter to ask if I was keeping up with my daily worship.
Well, hello there, Professor. Is this a friend of yours? Is that so? I was sure you two knew each other. Is there something we can do for you, good sir?
Oh, what a lovely young lady. I was just telling this kind soul a story.
Really? What's troubling you?
Well, I was thinking of going to daily prayer, but my leg's been acting up and I can't walk properly.
How terrible. That's no good at all. May I be of assistance? I'd be happy to lend a shoulder and escort you to the chapel.
Would you? Oh, I'd be most grateful to you. Thank the goddess for sending this young lady to me today.
We'll need your help too, Professor. Here, sir, take my arm. Splendid work, Professor. He really seemed to appreciate our assistance. Putting a smile on someone's face always seems to brighten up the day. Is something wrong? You're giving me a strange look. How should I put this? I suppose it's just second nature to me. It's difficult to describe, but I can usually tell when someone is worried about something. Back there, I could tell that both you and the old man were in distress. I spent a good amount of my life living in the church. Maybe that's why I'm so good at identifying these things? Did I not mention that before? I spent nearly 10 years of my life in the Church of Fargus. Many came to us with their troubles. In my own time of need, I once ran to the church myself, and they helped me. May I share something with you, Professor? It's about a dream of mine. I'd like to work in the church one day. I want to be like the priest who helped me. Never mind. It's not a very realistic dream. Please forget I said anything. If I were someone else, perhaps a commoner without a crest or stature, maybe things would be different. It's a bit sad, but this is the way things have to be. After all, only the goddess can decide our fates. Do you have a moment, Professor? I need to speak with you. Thank you so much. This is what I wanted to address. This letter from my adoptive father just arrived. Oh, have I not mentioned him? He's the reason I first came to the Officers' Academy. He's also the one who dragged me from the church where I was living, just so he could use my crest. My crest does not yet belong to a house, so he plans to use it as leverage to marry into the nobility. He's a very greedy man who was a roving merchant before adopting me, but now he's in the capital. This letter says that he's finally arranged to marry me off to a wealthy noble. I know he's just thinking of himself, but can't he see that this isn't a priority when we're at war? I don't know what to do about this proposal. I can't see any way around it, so I fear that I must. I just don't want to let go of the life that I've made for myself. I know it's not what my heart wants, but I don't have the strength to say no. I believe I've mentioned this before, but I want to work in service of the church. Well, I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be the church, but I want to help those in need. If I were to marry a noble, I think it would be difficult to realize that dream. It's just, I've always allowed myself to follow the whims of those above me. I convinced myself that everything in life was at the will of the goddess. I was blind to reality. I believed it was her will to both pull me from the church and guide me to the Officers' Academy. The decision to enter this war was the first time I acted of my own free will. My adoptive father opposed this decision, but I somehow managed to convince him. Still, I couldn't free myself of him completely. This letter is proof of that. It's not that I'm scared of him, but there is something that worries me. I knew you'd understand, Professor. I've sat down to write a reply several times, but I can't muster up the courage or the words. I was hoping you could provide me with the encouragement I need. If I don't, he'll go ahead with the arrangement. I suppose I must aim toward cutting him out of my life completely. Okay. I think that may have been just the push I was looking for. I'll tell him the truth, that I found a life worth pursuing and I must decline the proposal. Maybe I should tell him I've fallen for someone else. Why, it's you, Professor. Isn't that obvious? I'm just teasing. Now I'm off to write this letter and stand my ground. Thank you for your encouragement. There there you are. I apologize for the short notice, but I'm so glad you could make it. I'm sure you're very busy being the hero of Fodlan and all. Then I'm afraid that what I'm about to ask may come at an inopportune time. Do you mind hearing me out? Great! Here it is. I'm going to Ferdiad to meet with my adoptive father, and I'd like you to accompany me. I feel the need to set things straight with him, in my own way. I've already decided exactly what I'm going to say. I'm choosing to live my life how I want, in pursuit of my own happiness. I need you to accept that. I'm in charge of my own destiny, not you, not anyone else, just me. I've waited so long to say all that. That's a very good question. Where do I start? Remember when I teased that I'd fallen for you? The truth is, that wasn't entirely in jest. I fell for you some time ago. In fact, I'd very much like to spend my life with you. Of course, that's only if you'll have me. Oh my goodness! Yes! Let's! You've no idea what this means to me. This may be the happiest I've ever been. I'm so glad I could finally express my feelings. Now we can live the rest of our lives together. To think, I was able to choose this path of my own volition, and now I get to walk it with you. Should one person be allowed this much happiness? But still, you're only given one life. Are you sure you want to spend it with me? I may be quite demanding at times, as I intend on pursuing my dreams. I want to help those in need, wherever they may be, and I won't give up on that. I thought that's what you might say. Perhaps that's why I fell for you. It's just the way you are. All right, let's be off. It's no short journey to Ferdiad. Oh, something to note. You should know that I can be quite scatterbrained and clumsy, but I will do everything in my power to help and support you too, whatever you may need. What a wonderful life we will lead together. Good evening, Professor. Returning from work, I take it? I commend you for working so late into the evening. All of my days at the Academy are enriching thanks to you. Try not to overtax yourself, all right? I'm concerned for your health. We wouldn't want you to wear yourself out. The goddess won't smite you if you rely on others for help, you know. Listen here, Professor. You might not like what I'm about to say. To be perfectly honest, I had my doubts when I first met you. I don't want you to think less of me for saying this, but here we are. At first, I thought you seemed too young to be a professor. It is unusual, you have to admit. Yet you seemed very composed and mature despite your age. You're strong-willed, encouraging, and you go to great lengths to ensure that everyone is cared for. But it almost feels like you're trying too hard to be a perfect role model for your students. If that's how you feel, then I can't disagree. but I think it's necessary to give yourself a break every now and again. The mind has a tendency to make mistakes when you've exhausted yourself. In my case, I still seem to make mistakes even when I'm wide awake. Oh, you know, I'm always mixing up the dates for drills or misplacing things. Just the other day, I forgot to put on my uniform and headed out to practice wearing only my... well, you can imagine how embarrassed I was. My mind can be so scattered sometimes. Anyway, where was I? Ah, that's right. What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't push yourself too hard. If you do, you might end up in a pretty bad place. That reminds me, is there anything I can do to assist you, Professor? If it's all right with you, I'd like to help in any way I can. Whatever you need, just say the word. I look forward to helping you out.
You there, youngster. Won't you listen to this old man's troubles? I was born and raised right here in this town. I spent my whole life here. My daughter lives in the Empire, and she sent me a letter to ask if I was keeping up with my daily worship.
Well, hello there, Professor. Is this a friend of yours? Is that so? I was sure you two knew each other. Is there something we can do for you, good sir?
Oh, what a lovely young lady. I was just telling this kind soul a story.
Really? What's troubling you?
Well, I was thinking of going to daily prayer, but my leg's been acting up and I can't walk properly.
How terrible. That's no good at all. May I be of assistance? I'd be happy to lend a shoulder and escort you to the chapel.
Would you? Oh, I'd be most grateful to you. Thank the goddess for sending this young lady to me today.
We'll need your help too, Professor. Here, sir, take my arm. Splendid work, Professor. He really seemed to appreciate our assistance. Putting a smile on someone's face always seems to brighten up the day. Is something wrong? You're giving me a strange look. How should I put this? I suppose it's just second nature to me. It's difficult to describe, but I can usually tell when someone is worried about something. Back there, I could tell that both you and the old man were in distress. I spent a good amount of my life living in the church. Maybe that's why I'm so good at identifying these things? Did I not mention that before? I spent nearly 10 years of my life in the Church of Fargus. Many came to us with their troubles. In my own time of need, I once ran to the church myself, and they helped me. May I share something with you, Professor? It's about a dream of mine. I'd like to work in the church one day. I want to be like the priest who helped me. Never mind. It's not a very realistic dream. Please forget I said anything. If I were someone else, perhaps a commoner without a crest or stature, maybe things would be different. It's a bit sad, but this is the way things have to be. After all, only the goddess can decide our fates. Do you have a moment, Professor? I need to speak with you. Thank you so much. This is what I wanted to address. This letter from my adoptive father just arrived. Oh, have I not mentioned him? He's the reason I first came to the Officers' Academy. He's also the one who dragged me from the church where I was living, just so he could use my crest. My crest does not yet belong to a house, so he plans to use it as leverage to marry into the nobility. He's a very greedy man who was a roving merchant before adopting me, but now he's in the capital. This letter says that he's finally arranged to marry me off to a wealthy noble. I know he's just thinking of himself, but can't he see that this isn't a priority when we're at war? I don't know what to do about this proposal. I can't see any way around it, so I fear that I must. I just don't want to let go of the life that I've made for myself. I know it's not what my heart wants, but I don't have the strength to say no. I believe I've mentioned this before, but I want to work in service of the church. Well, I suppose it doesn't necessarily have to be the church, but I want to help those in need. If I were to marry a noble, I think it would be difficult to realize that dream. It's just, I've always allowed myself to follow the whims of those above me. I convinced myself that everything in life was at the will of the goddess. I was blind to reality. I believed it was her will to both pull me from the church and guide me to the officers' academy. The decision to enter this war was the first time I acted of my own free will. My adoptive father opposed this decision, but I somehow managed to convince him. Still, I couldn't free myself of him completely. This letter is proof of that. It's not that I'm scared of him, but there is something that worries me. I knew you'd understand, Professor. I've sat down to write a reply several times, but I can't muster up the courage or the words. I was hoping you could provide me with the encouragement I need. If I don't, he'll go ahead with the arrangement. I suppose I must aim toward cutting him out of my life completely. Okay. I think that may have been just the push I was looking for. I'll tell him the truth, that I found a life worth pursuing and I must decline the proposal. Maybe I should tell him I've fallen for someone else. Why, it's you, Professor. Isn't that obvious? I'm just teasing. Now I'm off to write this letter and stand my ground. Thank you for your encouragement. There you are. I apologize for the short notice, but I'm so glad you could make it. I'm sure you're very busy being the hero of Fodlan and all. Then I'm afraid that what I'm about to ask may come at an inopportune time. Do you mind hearing me out? Great! Here it is. I'm going to Ferdiad to meet with my adoptive father, and I'd like you to accompany me. I feel the need to set things straight with him, in my own way. I've already decided exactly what I'm going to say. I'm choosing to live my life how I want, in pursuit of my own happiness. I need you to accept that. I'm in charge of my own destiny, not you, not anyone else, just me. I've waited so long to say all that. That's a very good question. Where do I start? Remember when I teased that I'd fallen for you? The truth is, that wasn't entirely in jest. I fell for you some time ago. In fact, I'd very much like to spend my life with you. Of course, that's only if you'll have me. Oh my goodness! Yes! Let's! You've no idea what this means to me. This may be the happiest I've ever been. I'm so glad I could finally express my feelings. Now we can live the rest of our lives together. To think, I was able to choose this path of my own volition, and now I get to walk it with you. Should one person be allowed this much happiness? But still, you're only given one life. Are you sure you want to spend it with me? I may be quite demanding at times, as I intend on pursuing my dreams. I want to help those in need, wherever they may be, and I won't give up on that. I thought that's what you might say. Perhaps that's why I fell for you. It's just the way you are. All right, let's be off. It's no short journey to Ferdiad. Oh, something to note. You should know that I can be quite scatterbrained and clumsy, but I will do everything in my power to help and support you too, whatever you may need. What a wonderful life we will lead together. My goodness! Sword training again today? Don't overdo it, all right?
I certainly won't, but thanks for your concern, Mercedes. It's more of a hobby than anything, so don't worry too much.
A hobby? How wonderful! I would probably get tired of it, but that's just me.
Didn't you say you hope to take the sword test soon?
You're right. I completely forgot that's coming up. What should I do?
To be honest, I've been a bit worried as I haven't seen you at the training ground much.
Why didn't you say something sooner if you were so worried about me?
It didn't occur to me that you could have forgotten. But you're right. I should have mentioned it. As an apology, why don't you let me help you with your swordsmanship?
You would do that for me? I'd really appreciate your help.
Okay, but keep in mind that since we're short on time, we may have to overdo it a little.
I don't like to overdo it, but if we must, I'll try my best.
It's settled. Let's begin. Don't tell me you've forgotten how to hold a sword. We have our work cut out for us.
I usually just hold the sword without thinking about my grip, you know? Let's see what happens now that you've shown me the proper way to handle it. I was nervous at first, but just look at me now. Yeah!
Well, I didn't realize offering to help you would mean risking my life.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I just meant to swing the sword. I didn't think it would go flying like that. I'm impressed with how quickly you can dodge.
Yes, I know you didn't intend to murder me, though that scare likely took years off my life.
Maybe I'm not cut out for this whole sword fighting thing.
Nonsense. It's far too early to give up. The first time I picked up a sword, I was much like you. It's true that different people are better suited to different things. But if you keep at it and refuse to give up, you're certain to improve.
Do you really think so? Thank you, Dimitri. It's very kind of you to... Oh! There's a rip in your cuff, Dimitri. How do you think...
It seems I didn't dodge your sword fast enough. Don't worry, I can easily repair it.
I'm the one who tore it, so I'll be the one who mends it. How does that sound?
No, please don't worry yourself over it. Just focus on your exam. Mercedes, I'm sorry to ask this of you, but will you lend me a hand?
What can I do for you? Oh, is the cuff of your overcoat still torn? Mending that shouldn't be a problem at all.
It's pathetic, I know, but I fear my sewing skills are... well, as you can see, they're just about non-existent.
Goodness, you must have been concerned when I tore your cuff.
Ah, well... that is to say... would you please teach me to sew? I hear you're rather amazing at it.
Of course I'll teach you. Don't look so heartbroken.
You will? Thank you. Oh, I owe you for this.
I'll go get my sewing kit. You wait here. I'm so sorry, Dimitri. I've never seen, well, it's just a bit...
No need to dance around the issue. You're fed up with my clumsy efforts, aren't you?
I thought you might end up bending some needles if you tried mending this on your own, but... how did you manage to break a pair of scissors?
I'm so sorry, really. I try to be careful, but with delicate work like this, I just can't seem to manage.
There's no need to apologize, but you must have been uncomfortable making your way here with this tear.
My inability to control my own strength is humiliating. Of course I'm useless at needlework.
No giving up on yourself. You just have to practice, that's all. No matter how difficult something is, if you keep at it and don't give up, then you're sure to improve. Isn't that what you told me?
Right you are. To give in to despair isn't like me. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, I'm ready to give it another go.
Great! I'm glad to hear it. First things first, let's make sure the needle is actually threaded this time.
No! I bent another one. You've been spending a lot of time at the training ground, Mercedes. As far as swordsmanship goes, you're like a whole new person.
Thank you. I have such a great time when you teach me that improving comes naturally.
It's all because of your own hard work. Compared to you,
You shouldn't be so disappointed in yourself. You're improving too. You just need to keep at it.
Well, I can hold a needle and thread without breaking anything now. That's something.
That's a big step. When we started, you couldn't even hold a pair of scissors without twisting them apart.
True. I'm sorry for being such a burden.
You're no bother at all. I like sewing with you. It reminds me of when I was young and my mother taught me how to sew. My mother would sit with my brother and me, and we'd all sew together. Ah, I really miss it. Even though I was barely better than you when I started. Did your mother like to sew, Dimitri?
My birth mother? From my father's accounts, she wasn't great at it either.
Oh, of course. I forgot that the Queen of Fargus passed away long ago.
Yes. I don't really remember what she was like. But I remember my stepmother, always sitting by the window sewing away.
I'm sure she would have been happy to teach you if you had asked.
She always looked so lonely when she was sewing. So unreachable. She was kind to me, yes, but when she was like that, it was hard to talk to her. I'm not certain she would have wished to teach me.
I'm so sorry, Dimitri. I didn't mean to bring up such difficult memories.
Don't worry about it. If I don't talk about those things sometimes, I'll risk forgetting them altogether. and that would truly be a shame.
I see.
But now I'm just going on and on about myself. Why don't you tell me more about you?
More about me? Oh, goodness. I don't even know what to say.
It's hard to think of something on the spot, isn't it? You could speak of your family, I suppose.
You want to know more about my family? On that topic, I'm happy to oblige. In fact, I'm so glad you asked. It's important to think about your past and share it every now and then. This might take a while, but would you be willing to stay and listen?
Of course. I will listen for as long as you wish.
Good evening, Dimitri. Have you come to pray?
Something like that. And you?
Oh yes, that's why I'm here. I love how calm and peaceful the cathedral is this late at night.
It really is.
Coming here on a quiet night always makes me think of those who aren't with us anymore. We've lost so many in this war, too many to count. I hope they all get to live in eternal happiness at the goddess's side. These prayers are all I have to offer.
You are a kind soul, Mercedes.
Fault.
Kind? Me? No, not at all. I am just a killer. A disgusting monster.
But why do you kill? For the sake of your loved ones? Those who have passed? Real monsters kill for selfish reasons. They're incapable of expressing sorrow when they kill. So please, don't call yourself a monster.
Mercedes, I am scared. So scared that I will forget their faces. The people who have died, who I have killed. I cannot let myself forget them. I know that, and yet... Whatever my feelings, it is all the act of a monster.
It's sad, but the truth is that you may be afraid to forget your past, but you'll never be able to revisit it. Living in the present is the best we can do. We owe it to those who can't come back.
If someone had said those words to me 5 years ago, I would be a different man today.
What do you want to do now, Dimitri? Continue fighting for those who have died? Not as a king, but as my classmate. What do you want to do?
My own dreams. I have... What about you? What do you want, Mercedes?
I want to keep sewing and training with you, even after you've become king. I want to be your friend.
But I have no right to stand beside...
I just want to be by your side. Is that so much to ask?
Mercedes. I want the same thing. If you allow it, I wish to stay by your side.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who feels that way. Let's spend a little more time here together, just the two of us.
Oh, Mercedes. This is unexpected. Cathedral. It is holy and solemn. Perfectly suited to a noble, wouldn't you say?
I guess so.
That we pray regularly to the goddess. The piety of the nobles is a model for commoners. It teaches them the value of devotion.
Absolutely. I know it.
These days, many nobles scarce... You and I are alone in this cathedral. It is really quite a shame.
Ah, well, I don't
nobility seems to be losing its way. When you pray, you're usually alone, right?
Yes.
The others. Out of the question. Nobles must determine for themselves what they will believe and how they will pray. A religion foisted on you without your say is not much of a religion at all. Do you not agree?
Yes, I definitely agree. Definitely agree.
On the other hand, we cannot stand.
Good night.
All in all, one has to conclude.
Come on, sell it to me!
Hey, stop that. Can't you see he's not interested?
We're just talking business here, now move it along!
Oh, I just thought it looked a little... Actually, now I'm curious. What kind of business are you conducting? I've been told I have a keen eye for appraisal.
Just trying to buy a sword. I told him to name his price, but he won't give it up.
Any price? You must be able to afford... But did you consider that he might have a good reason not to sell it? Maybe it's a family heirloom, or simply his favorite sword.
No one asked for your appraisal now.
Gentlemanly conduct.
Ferdinand, do you have an opinion on all this?
Behind me, milady. I will protect you.
Who are you? You looking for trouble too?
Godless knave. I just cleaned my sword, and if I maim you, I will have to clean it again. Neither of us wants that, so I suggest you leave at once.
Ah, forget it. You're not worth my time.
Ah, thank you so much. You saved me there.
Are you hurt, Mercedes?
Hurt? No, I'm fine. We were only talking.
Ah, I am glad. I do not abide uncouth behavior. Stopping it is my duty as a noble. You know, stepping in to prevent a...
Say I did anything brave, really. I just asked what was going on.
No need to be humble. Helping the weak is precisely what a virtuous noble does.
I don't think what I...
What do you mean by that?
Is that some things in this world can't be bought or sold with money. I think I let myself get a little too worked up, though. It's just, when I saw it happening, it reminded me of my own past.
Your past? A minor noble family, I heard. You abandoned your title, and now you live as a commoner. Is there more to the story?
Bartels. We found refuge in a small church in Fargus and lived there for a few years. A man appeared one day and said that he wanted to adopt me. It was obvious that he only cared about my bloodline and crest. The priest refused to let me go, but the man used his money to overwhelm the church. In the end, I had no choice but to leave with him. That soldier we saw? I guess he just reminded me of my adoptive father.
The man who exploited you so that he could join the nobility. Yes, I understand. But I must confess, That part of the story confuses me. There is nothing to gain from having a noble title.
Nobility, Ferdinand.
Oh, well, that is not quite status, with no effort and no accomplishment. Certainly you can obtain a title like that, but it hardly makes you a noble.
I completely agree.
A commoner. In your heart, you are a proud and virtuous noble. That is what I think, at any rate. Mercedes!
Short of breath.
I just wanted to show you something.
Oh.
Yes, these are financial. They prove that when he adopted you, large sums of money changed hands.
Where did you come across these?
That kind of thing is no trouble for an intrepid young noble such as myself.
That's amazing! Put yourself at risk for my benefit. I really wish you wouldn't do such things.
No, I did it for my benefit. I could not help myself. With these documents, we can show everyone what a scoundrel your adoptive father really is. His noble aspirations will be crushed. The lord of the region will probably rescind his adoption contract. In other words, you will be free.
Set me free?
Yes, of course. You will be free to decide your own path in life, and go wherever your heart leads you.
That does sound nice, but... I'm sorry, Ferdinand, but I think you should hold on to the documents.
Why? Is this not...
I've come to terms with it. It's almost unavoidable at this point. But with these, I could regain my freedom and change all that.
You baffle me. Do you not wish...
Ahem. A true noble cuts their own path, seizing freedom from the clutches of tyranny.
I cannot...
But I'm really very happy that you're so concerned with my well-being, Ferdinand. It means so much to me that you went through all that trouble on my behalf.
Of course, Mercedes. The
Dear Goddess, please protect.
You were praying.
Weren't you born in Dusker?
Yes. Offerings to the war god for victory in battle. held feasts for the sea god to calm the waves.
So your people...
Why? If you insist. I'm still here.
I think I get it. Separating us from Dusker, but it's like a completely different world. This has been so interesting. I've never learned so much about it before.
There are not many left to pass on the legends of Dusker.
Really? That's a shame. It's almost like when someone dies, or a family line ends. I think a place is only truly destroyed when there's no one left to remember it. You should tell more people about Dusker to keep it alive.
That is a strange thing. Dusker is forever the enemy of Fargus. No one cares about our culture or history.
I'm different, though. I you and I never have.
But it seems I am ever the teacher with you, and seldom.
I'm so sorry. I have an idea. My mother taught me to bake the perfect sweets to go with tea. Would you like to learn how to bake them? It's a secret Martrit's family recipe that's been passed down for generations.
House Martrit's of the Empire.
Wiped out in the Empire. I'm the last living descendant.
Are you certain you wish to impart such...
From Fodlan if something happened to me.
I see your point.
Oh, do.
Protectors of their respective lands. It has been said that we would offer our prayers to her in times of war.
Huh. So the goddess is part of a pantheon. I guess that's one way to interpret it. Anyway, what are you praying for?
For peace to come even...
Hey, Dadu, what are your plans for yourself once this war is finally over?
To serve His Highness for the rest of my day.
And isn't it where your wonderful food and stories come from? I think those are reasons enough to visit at least once.
Mercedes. Highness would surely grant me leave to go.
You really think so? to end this war. Then, when it's finally finished, we can travel.
That promises to be interesting. We should pray to the Dusker gods as well.
Yes, that's a brilliant idea. Which of the Dusker gods should we pray to?
For victory, we pray to the god of war, or
For our safe travels to Dusker. Here you go, Felix. Have some I'm just making tea. Is there something wrong with that?
You're not my mother. You
Sir.
I do?
Until I was about 8 or 9 years old. I haven't seen him since then.
Sorry to state the obvious. Father.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll leave you alone. Please help yourself to more tea if you'd like. I can leave the pot. Goodbye.
One else. Brother. You were injured in the last battle. Are you okay?
I was only trying to keep an eye on you.
What are you even doing? Stupid thing to do.
Yes, of course, you're right. I have no excuses.
If you intend to carry on being he died. Since his death, his memory has followed me around like a shadow.
To protect you. That's not to say that you're incapable or unreliable or anything like that. In fact, it's quite...
You're reckless. Lives are at stake, including mine when I have to run over and save your skin.
Yes,
better not start calling me Emile.
You know, I'm not... But I've come to realize that you two don't have that much in common after all.
I don't understand.
It's not that I want to be near Emile, but I want to be near you.
What?
Clear that you don't want me around.
No. What a perplexing... I suppose I have to accept.
Oh no, this isn't right.
What's the matter, Mercedes?
I wanted.
Let me taste it.
Cook, Ash.
My dad used to own a restaurant. I helped out a lot.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility to take on at an early age. No wonder you always work so hard. I might learn something if I... I don't like spicy food. It's tough to make food taste good when you don't enjoy it. I just had an idea. If the reason I can't cook spicy food is because I don't like it, then all I have to do is eat some spicy food. If I learn to like it, then I'll be better at making it, right?
I don't know, maybe. What makes you say that?
Something spicy right away.
Oh, this won't end well. If I leave her to it, she'll make an even bigger mess.
Hey, Ash, which seasonings should I use? These ones?
Hold on, Mercedes. Let me show you. That one goes best with meat, but for stir-fry, what you really want is this.
Whoa, what happened? The pan's smoking!
Out the dining hall for a few minutes, please. Well, some folks were a little annoyed, but at least we... Attack. That could have been a disaster.
I'm so sorry. you think, Ash? Excuse me, Ash. Do you have a moment? I finally managed to finish cooking a dish, and I would love for you to have a taste.
Sounds good. I'd be happy to. Wow, Mercedes. This is delicious.
I used that herb you suggested. Boiling it gave off such a lovely aroma. I think I used the right amount of spice, too. Even I could eat it without burning my tongue. I'm a much better cook now, thanks to you. I hope you can continue teaching me.
Oh, definitely. I should thank you too.
Thank me? Even after all the trouble I've caused you?
Seeing you persevere has made me really happy. In fact, you've reminded me of someone I cared about a lot.
Oh, someone you cared about? Romantically? This is all so sudden, Ash. I don't...
I didn't mean it that way. I was actually thinking about my brother.
What a relief. I didn't even know you had a brother.
He was the son of Lenato, my adoptive father. I always called him my brother, though. Failure never got to him. All he'd ever do is laugh and try again. Whenever I was feeling down about a setback, he would cheer me up. He'd say something like, "Don't worry, we'll tackle it together next time." I was always happy to have him around.
He sounds like a wonderful person.
He was. And I get the same feeling from you.
I've done nothing but bother you with frivolous little things. I'm sure I could never be like your brother. But I'd like to stay by your side, if you'll have me.
What do you mean?
I want to be there to help you in times of need, or to cheer you up when you're feeling down. I should be able to manage that without doing too much damage.
I'm glad to hear you say that. Thank you, Mercedes. I know I can rely on you.
Mercedes, you look divine as always. Are you off to pray?
Oh, hello, Sylvain. I was just on my way to pray. How did you guess?
Well, because I've been watching your lovely...
Oh, I get it. You're the type who's always looking at girls, aren't you?
I won't lie, I do enjoy beholding women, but I don't mean it like that with you. I know I sound like a dope. I think you're special.
Oh, really? You think I'm so clumsy that I need someone to watch over me. Is that why you can't take your eyes off me?
You're beautiful, and I mean that. You're... how can I put it without sounding even worse? Okay, here goes. I want to get to know you better. As friends, I mean.
I don't know where to begin.
Well, what's something you like?
I like to pray. I've been praying regularly since I was a child.
You grew up in the Empire, didn't you?
That's right. I was raised in House Bartels.
Bartels? I thought you were born to House Martreats.
It's a complicated story. I'm not sure that it's a very interesting one, but I'm happy to share it with you.
I don't mean to be nosy, if it's too personal.
Oh no, I don't mind. I wasn't trying to hide anything from you. House Martreats fell shortly before I was born.
Oh.
My father passed away while my mother was still pregnant with me, so she had nowhere to go. After I was born, my mother ended up marrying the head of House Bartels. Shortly after, my mother bore a true Bartels child who bore a crest. She and I were treated as though we were no longer useful to the family after that.
You think the Bartels were just using her to secure a crest?
They must have been. My mother and I were removed from the family and forced to flee to a church in the kingdom. I abandoned the Bartels name and took up our old family name again.
So you grew up in a church.
Okay, it makes more sense now why you're praying all the time.
Yes, oh, praying! I forgot that I was on my way to pray.
Right, and I interrupted you. Well, see you around, Mercedes.
Yes, see you!
House Bartels wanted a crest, and ruined other people's lives to get one. These idiots are all the same. Mercedes, I swear, the whole cathedral glows with heavenly light when you're around.
Hello, Sylvain. What a treat to see you here. I thought you preferred places with more ladies around.
I'm here because you're here. And I don't care about other girls.
Oh, come now. I'm sure you use that line all the time.
Actually, I've only said it to girls who thought I was lying about being You know what? There's no reason to get into all that. The truth is, I would really like to spend some time with you. What do you say to that?
Well, if you were really interested in me, I would want you to get to know me better.
I agree. I've been such an idiot in the past, always angling for the seduction. I've forgotten how to just talk to someone.
You act like you're full of regret, but I know you don't really mean it. Still, I'm glad to hear you say that at least. I told you such a boring story the last time we spoke. I was worried you might think I was a dull person.
Dull? No. I was worried that I'd made you remember unhappy times. It's horrible what you had to go through. It's not like anyone chooses to be born with a crest.
Right. We can't choose our bloodline. You've got a crest too, haven't you, Sylvain? What has your experience been like?
Are you asking how being born with a crest affected me?
Yes. I know there was that business with your brother Miklon, but I'm sure you don't want to talk about all that.
It's not a very happy story.
Please don't feel the need to hold back on my account. I'm here if you need someone to share in your pain.
Would you want to know more about me, even if I didn't have a crest, or come from a noble family?
This has nothing to do with your crest or family. I'm just asking as your friend. How should I put this? When I look at you, I don't see a crest. I want to see the real you.
You do? Here's the short version. I hate crests. Even though having one is supposed to be such a great blessing, mine has ruined everything. Miklon was heir to our house. Then I was born, and I became the heir because I had a crest. That made my older brother jealous enough to want to kill me. And every woman in Fodlan wants to have my little crest baby, so they can join the nobility. Yeah, there you go. That's what it's like to have a crest.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to dredge up such awful things.
No, I should keep my temper better. I don't want you to see me act that way.
Don't say that. I'm glad we were able to talk. I feel like I'm finally seeing the real you. Oh, Sylvain, will you save me from the curse of having a crest?
Of course. I think I love you. And I mean that. With all my heart. I love you, Mercedes. Let's get married and have crest babies.
Sure.
Mercedes, you're looking divine as always.
Good evening, Sylvain. Thank you for coming out to see me.
Just the two of us meeting at this time of night? You move quicker than I thought.
I don't know what speed has to do with it, but there was something I wanted to talk to you about.
Ah, okay. I probably should have figured that out.
I can be so forgetful at times. I neglected to mention this the other day. I meant to say that I know you've been through a lot in this life.
Huh? Me?
Your parents have placed a great deal of pressure on you as their heir. And it's all because you were born with a crest. You've had to put up with such lofty expectations.
All of the kingdom's noble houses expect a lot from their heirs. I'm no different from any other noble guy or gal. We've all got responsibilities.
But didn't you mention that your brother envied you enough to wish you dead? I'm sure that wasn't easy.
Thinking about it, life was probably a lot harder for my brother than it ever has been for me.
Didn't you also mention that women were only interested in having your, as you say, crest baby? I'm not very interested in the particulars, but I get the feeling that you don't care very much for these women who throw themselves at you.
I'd appreciate it if maybe you kept that observation between the two of us.
Your secret's safe with me. I understand the pain you've had to carry.
I know you've got your share of bad memories too, but...
That's why you feel comfortable letting your guard down around me. Come now. That's enough with the sad smile.
Mercedes. Was my sad smile really that bad? Did it ruin my dashing good looks?
Not at all. You actually look more handsome to me with honesty on your face.
Aw, here come the waterworks.
Don't be ashamed of crying. I'm here to protect you. Will you protect me in return?
I will. I promise. You know, Mercedes, you really are a special lady.
That shopping trip took longer than expected, didn't it, Mercy?
It truly did. You bought just about everything in the place.
You're so good at deciding the best thing to buy. I sort of wanted it all. I mean, not that I was excessive. I think you bought just about as much as I did.
Oh, really? The number of bags you're carrying says otherwise.
What? That's... Oh, fine. You got me. I was just having too much fun. I love shopping with you, Mercy.
It was fun. It's nice going into town without having to run errands for once.
Isn't it? And I'm pretty confident the professor will forgive our little detour. This actually reminds me of going to school in Ferdiad.
Me too. It almost feels like that time in our lives was a story from long ago.
So much has changed since then. Oh, but there's at least one thing that hasn't changed.
Me and you, right? We're the same old friends we always were.
That's just what I was about to say.
I've known you so long I can always guess.
Mercy, we'll stay friends like this forever, won't we?
Is something wrong? You sound worried.
Since our time in the capital, so much has happened. We've had to make new lives for ourselves, and we've seen at least as many hard times as good. If things keep changing like this, I wonder if we'll be able to stay the same people we are now.
I wonder that too. I don't think everything in the future will be perfect, but it's us. So I'm sure
we'll figure it out together, right?
How did you know what I was going to say?
Oh, Mercy, I can always guess what you're gonna say.
Oh, it's getting late. We better hurry back before the professor gets angry.
You're right. Run, Mercy!
What? Wait for me, Annie. You know I'm not as fast as you.
Run! Okay, Mercy. This time we're gonna be really good and get the supplies with no detours.
You're so good at sticking to a plan. I should leave the shopping to you. I'll stay out of your way and just browse.
Hey, that's not fair. I want to browse too.
Looks like you girls are having a good time.
Annie, is this a friend of yours?
I've never seen this person before. I'm sorry to be rude, but we're kind of busy.
Wait a minute. I think you're shopping with money you stole. But no need to worry your pretty little heads. I'm just gonna have to take it back for us common folk.
Step back, Mercy. This could get dangerous. Listen here, you. There's no way you can win against me. I don't want to fight you, but I will if I have to. So just back away.
You think you can talk to me that way? I'm gonna...
Oh, the knights are coming!
What?
Annie, run!
This is far enough. We should be safe.
I hope so. But what were you thinking? That sort of behavior isn't like you at all.
I thought you were in danger, Mercy.
You're actually blaming me for this? It's like I don't even know you anymore.
Mercy! I was just trying to protect you.
Annie, do you have a moment?
Is this about what happened when we were shopping? If so, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Not so fast. I haven't properly apologized yet. So, I'm sorry. I got scared. Imagine if something bad happened to you because of me.
Mercy.
You would have just run away if you were on your own, wouldn't you? Instead, you acted defensively because I was there. I dragged you down.
Mercy, you're upsetting me! How dare you say that you dragged me down? You know why I was acting so recklessly? Because I wanted to protect my best friend in the whole world.
Annie.
Do you remember when we first enrolled at the academy? It seemed like everyone was leagues ahead of us and so far out of reach. I felt completely hopeless. But because you were there, I didn't lose hope. So, don't say stupid things about how you dragged me down or how you don't deserve things.
Thank you for saying that. And again, I'm sorry. You're just so important to me. I know I could never find another friend like you. You've stayed by my side through thick and thin. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if anything happened to you because of me.
Mercy, can we be friends again?
Of course, Annie. Friends forever.
Good. I don't know what I would have done if we hadn't found a way to make up.
I'm sorry. I should have said something sooner.
No, I'm the one who should have stopped being so stubborn and said something. You know, now that everything's as it should be, I'm suddenly starving.
That's just like you. Come, let's go for tea.
Ooh, let's! And we should have some Mercy-baked sweets on the side. I think I love you more than just about anything in the world.
You do? Oh, Annie, you're too sweet.
Not as sweet as your baking. I love your baking more than anything in the world, too. Other than you.
Well, I'm always happy to bake for you, Annie.
I'm so happy to have you back.
Nightfall? Already? Suppose I'd better wrap up.
Good work with your training today, Ingrid. Here's something to wipe up the sweat.
Whoa, Mercedes. Hi. Hello. How long have you been... Thank you.
You're very welcome. I've been here since you started.
That long? Huh. Well, my apologies for not having noticed you. I get so caught up in training, you know. But why are you here? I can't imagine it was too terribly interesting watching me.
I disagree. I just couldn't help but admire your training technique. I have to say, you are very impressive. I'm nowhere near as graceful as you.
Graceful? I wouldn't say that, but thank you. If I'm to be honest, I'm the one who admires you.
Goodness me? How so?
You're always so put together. You hold yourself with such poise and have such a keen eye for fashion. I mean, even the handkerchief you handed me smells like... lavender, is it? It's just lovely.
That perfume is a favorite of mine. I'm so glad you like it.
Even the fact that you thought to put perfume on your handkerchief is delightfully foreign to me. I'd never have thought of that.
I'll gladly share some with you. You're welcome to come visit my room whenever you'd like. We can have tea and chat. How does that sound?
That sounds really nice. Yes. Sipping tea and having a chat. It's unlike me. but it sounds lovely.
From now on, we'll meet up whenever we have time. We can go right now if you're free.
Oh, no need to trouble yourself and rearrange things for me.
It's no trouble at all. You'll never know if you're the type who enjoys chatting over tea if you never try.
All right then. Apologies for my late arrival, Mercedes. My duties ran long, as per usual.
There's no need to apologize at all. Please, have a seat. We've met for tea so many times, but you never seem to get used to it, do you, Ingrid?
Not entirely, no. I'm not accustomed to being treated so delicately. Anyway, what will we talk about today?
I actually wanted to gripe about something that's been bothering me.
You? Gripe? Now that's unusual. I'm happy to listen, of course. It's the least I can do after all the kindness you've shown me.
Thank you. The one thing I really wanted to talk about is marriage.
Oh?
Yes. I received a letter from my adoptive father about marriage discussions with a noble family.
And will you accept?
That's the problem. No matter what I decide, I'll probably be married off anyway. What I really want to do is help those in need. But I think it would be more difficult to do so if I married a nobleman.
Understandably so. Sounds to me like you need a strategy to silence your father.
Sorry? To silence him?
Don't you agree? It seems the best course of action would be to consider severing all ties with the family and running away.
We don't need to go that far. I'm sorry, I really just needed to let that out. I don't need you to worry about solving my problems.
Oh, okay. It's just a bit personal for me, actually. My own father has brought countless marriage proposals to my attention. He always was obsessed with me carrying on the family bloodline. At a very young age, my hand had already been promised to someone in marriage. But Glenn died young.
That must have been difficult for you. Would you have married him if he had survived?
That's a good question. It's hard to imagine now. Although I did admire him quite a lot. He held true to the ideals of knighthood, proudly serving the king. Even after all these years, I aspire to be the type of knight that he embodied. But that's just it. I'm not a tool for furthering my family's fortunes. I'm a knight at heart, regardless of what my father desires.
I see. A very noble cause indeed. How strange that we should be worrying about the same thing.
Even though we are such different people.
It's true. Enjoying a nice chat over tea with you like this makes me realize maybe the paths we walk aren't so different after all. Don't you think?
I do. These tea parties of ours, they really are something special.
That they are. Ingrid, I would love to get to know you better if that's okay. I want to know about your childhood, your favorite books, the sweets you like, anything at all.
Absolutely. I'm happy to speak with you anytime. And I want to know you better too, Mercedes.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Are you all right?
Yes, Ow! I'm fine. I just twisted my ankle.
That won't do. Come, take my hand. Let's get you to the infirmary.
Are you sure it's okay to be seen helping me?
Why would it not be?
I thought you only extended your kindness to the nobility.
Certainly not. To aid a commoner in need is the most noble endeavor of all. Not only that, but you were injured by my carelessness. It is doubly my duty to assist.
In that case, I'll gladly accept your offer.
Good. There does not appear to be any real swelling, so you should heal swiftly.
Thank you so much for escorting me.
Walking on it will still be unpleasant.
Allow me to lend you my shoulder, at least as far as your room.
If you're still offering to help, then I can't say no.
There you are, safe and sound. I will take my leave.
Thank you again, Lawrence. You know, I think I've learned something about you.
What is that?
In truth, it's not that you only extend your kindness to noble women. It's that you can't even see us of lower birth.
Excuse me?
You and I have been together all this time, but never once did you look me in the eye.
I hadn't noticed. But you will have to excuse any perceived rudeness. As the heir to House Gloucester, I have a duty. I must ask you to forget about me. Farewell.
Forget about him? What could that possibly mean?
Mercedes, I have to insist that you take up a position behind me on the battlefield. I must protect the common folk, and you have been in danger rather frequently of late.
I appreciate your concern, but I can take care of myself. Everything is about nobility and common folk with you, Lawrence. It's tiresome.
Tiresome? I am only fulfilling my duty.
Is that to say you would have left me lying on the floor in pain, had it not been your duty to assist?
You mean when you were hurt on my account? I still would have assisted you, as any commoner would have. It is simply a matter of perspective. And if I were common-born, I would not have simply let you leave without... Never mind. Forgive me.
Excuse me? Are you implying that you would have taken advantage of me if you were lowborn?
What? No! And I am no longer interested in the hypothetical nature of this conversation.
Oh, Lawrence, you'll never change.
What do you mean?
I find myself growing irritated just looking at you.
Is that so? I fail to see exactly how I am so irritating.
You claim that you don't want to be involved with common women, don't you? But I know deep in your heart you love being around us. You're willfully ignorant to that. I hope you know what you're depriving yourself of.
I am certain I've told you before that my marriage must be beneficial to House Gloucester. I've not the time for fruitless courtship.
Fruitless? How can you say such things? What would happen if you fell in love with a commoner?
Nothing at all. I accept the role that I must play, and any sacrifice that must accompany it.
So, your duty as a noble is more important than your own feelings?
Naturally.
If that's true, then your whole existence is rather sad.
I am afraid you misunderstand. This is my choice. There is no cause for pity.
I think I've heard enough. I have to go.
Mercedes, I have heard that you are the daughter of imperial nobility. Is that the case?
It is.
And you have a crest as well. Is that not so?
Again, it is.
Why did you not tell me? I was under the impression you were a commoner.
I didn't mean to hide it from you, but you never asked. Besides, I am considered common now. I don't care to flaunt my noble past or my crest. I have no desire to return to that status.
Then, if I may speak hypothetically a moment, does that mean that if a nobleman were to offer you his hand in marriage, you would decline?
Not at all. That's a separate matter entirely. Even if I were to fall in love, regardless of their social status, I'm not looking to marry right now.
What a relief. Forgive my rudeness. I am merely envious of your flexible outlook. It is a posture that I might very well adopt. Not to say that I hang upon your every word, of course.
You mean in terms of love and marriage?
Precisely. Status should be no impediment to love.
But if you marry a woman who isn't a noble, then haven't you neglected your duty?
Not exactly, no. What I said was that my marriage must benefit House Gloucester. So long as that holds true, the bloodline of my partner is actually irrelevant. For instance, if she bore a crest and was at one time considered noble...
Well, now that doesn't sound flexible at all. How can you know if someone will benefit your family? Would you investigate her before allowing yourself feelings? That doesn't sound very noble of you.
That is not what I...
I'm sorry, Lawrence. I was only teasing. I'm sure your lack of tact is what women find so irresistible.
Come again?
Oh, nothing at all. I hope you do your family proud and fulfill your duty.
Yes, I most certainly will.
Oh my, Ignaz. You're in a hurry. Is something the matter?
The professor wants us to gather at the training grounds. Didn't you hear?
Of course I did. I'll head over in a bit.
Are you sure you want to wait? I can hear the professor calling.
We're not needed until after the lunch hour. We have plenty of time.
Oh, I guess so. I was just panicking a bit. I wish I could be calm like you. How are you so unflappable?
Well, rushing around doesn't help, does it? I mostly try to stay out of everyone's way. There's no point in overexerting yourself. Anything that needs doing will get done eventually.
Huh. So that's the secret to happiness.
I suppose, but it's not nearly as philosophical as you make it sound.
No, it's perfect. I feel like I don't quite fit in with other people. So in situations like this, where I have to talk to someone, I panic a little. Please, teach me how to be as calm and collected as you are.
Honestly, Ignaz, you're making this out to be much bigger than it is. I mostly just don't pay attention. Being like me is more trouble than it's worth.
But you always seem so happy. I'm sorry.
There's no need to apologize. Come on, let's head to the training grounds. I may slow you down, though.
All right. You don't have to rush. But I'm going to anyway. See you there!
Goodness, don't strain yourself.
Huh.
Oh, Ignaz, what are you sighing over?
Sorry. I shouldn't sigh in such a holy place.
There's nothing wrong with it. I sigh here all the time. The goddess receives all our prayers and our sighs. What's bothering you? I'd be happy to talk about it if you'd like.
Oh, it's nothing. Not worth talking about.
Is that so? Am I not worth talking to?
That's not what I meant. Sorry to offend you. I'll tell you about it. I'm just uncertain about my future. My father wants me to be a knight. I don't think I can handle it. Can you imagine a knight as pathetic as me?
I don't find you pathetic at all. Is there something you would rather pursue?
Well, I've always loved painting.
You want to become an artist? How wonderful!
What's your ambition?
Me? I simply want to help people with their troubles. Those who can't help themselves. I've considered working for the church, but that's only a vague idea. Oh, I'm sorry. We were supposed to be discussing your troubles.
Not at all. I'm actually feeling a little better. Knowing that you aren't sure about your future, I don't feel quite so alone.
Everyone in this world feels a little lost, you know. I really do believe that the life of an artist is a wonderful dream to pursue. There was a beautiful painting of the goddess in the church where I used to live. Whenever times were difficult, I would stare up at her and sigh. Thinking about that painting helps me even now.
I've always wanted to paint the goddess.
You should. I'm sure your painting will help someone else in their time of need.
I can't paint anything powerful enough to do that. I wish I could. Maybe one day. I'll give that some thought. Thank you, Mercedes.
Are you praying, Ignatz? Are you concerned about something?
A little. I'm coming to accept that I will never be an artist. I'm self-taught, so my style and technique are probably all wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. Besides, how could I persuade my father? I can't even imagine his reaction. He'd disown me.
It takes courage to stray from the path that has been set out for you. It's never easy. I'm in a similar position. I've been carrying out my adoptive father's wishes up until this point. But... It's never a bad thing to have dreams. That's how I feel, at least. I can't imagine a life in which I'd given up on my dreams. How could anyone find happiness in that? Even with your father's demands, you can still work toward one small dream at a time.
You know, I suppose you're right. My dream of being an artist gives me the energy to go on. You're really wise, Mercedes.
Oh, goodness. That's not how most people would describe me. I just don't want you to give up on your art. Besides, I genuinely do want to see your painting of the goddess.
Really? I'm pleased to hear you say so. You said you're in the same position as I am. What did you mean by that?
My future has been decided for me as well. I'm to be married off to a nobleman.
What?
Is it really that surprising? I think many young women face the same fate.
So, will you get married?
I suppose I haven't given it much thought. Whatever may happen, I'm sure everything will work out in the end if I don't give up on my dreams.
Everything will work out in the end. Mercedes, you're amazing. I think that whatever you do, wherever you go, you'll help a lot of people. You're so kind. I know you can... Oh.
What's wrong, Ignatz? You have a strange look on your face.
For my whole life, I've wanted to paint the goddess, but I never could. Whatever shape I gave her, she never seemed quite right. But it's just come to me.
It's wonderful how inspiration can strike so suddenly. Quick, paint before you lose it.
I will. Will you help me?
I'd be happy to help, but I'm not sure what I can do.
Don't you see? The goddess I imagined and tried to paint so many times. She's you. I have to get my supplies. Stay right there.
Wow. To say such a thing directly before the altar, that must be some kind of sin. I'll say an extra prayer for him. Goodness, Hilda, you look worried. Is something the matter?
Oh, Mercedes. I was on my way to the greenhouse to water the flowers. But I have a meeting with the professor right now, so I'll have to be quick.
It must be urgent to call you at this hour of the morning. Go see what the professor needs from you. I can take care of the flowers.
Oh, are you sure? Thank you so much.
It's no problem at all. Let me take the water from you.
Thank you again. I'll see you at lunch.
Right. I'm off.
Oops, my meeting with the professor was tomorrow. Anyway, thanks, Mercedes. Still no Mercedes. All she had to do was water a few plants. I didn't think it would take this much time. It's almost noon. Maybe I'll go see what she's up to.
And that's the last of that. Perfect.
What's taking you so long?
Oh, Hilda. Is your meeting with the professor over already?
Yes. It's almost lunchtime. What are you still doing here?
Lunchtime? I hadn't realized how late it was. After watering the flowers, I noticed that the greenhouse was in need of some tidying. I must have gotten a bit carried away. It's so pleasant working in here.
Oh, pleasant. Sure. You're such a kind person.
No, it was my pleasure. Anyway, shall we head to the dining hall?
I should have just done it myself. Waiting for her was so exhausting.
What was that, Hilda? Come along, I'm hungry.
Coming! What should we eat?
Good morning, Hilda. Is anything troubling you today?
Nope, nothing. If there was, I don't think I'd ask for your help.
I'm sorry to hear that. Have I done something to upset you?
Not exactly. You go overboard helping me is all. You do way, way too much. So I feel guilty, like I'm putting you out.
Goodness, it was never my intention to have you worry about me.
Can I ask you something?
Of course, what is it?
What are you doing today?
Following my morning prayers, I'll be cleaning the altar, then caring for the flowers in the greenhouse. Then it's off to the library to help organize and sort, then to the dining hall to wipe down the tables and chairs. The floors could use a good polish too. Oh, and the weather's so nice that I might air out the bedding. After that, it's...
Wow, you're still not done? There's more?
Well, the dishcloths in the dining hall are all frayed, so I was hoping to mend them.
Sewing? Don't you think that's too much?
Whatever do you mean? And why are you speaking so loudly all of a sudden?
I'll help with the dining hall, but I am not sewing.
You want to help? That would be delightful.
Everyone asks you for help, and you always say yes, don't you?
I suppose. I believe it's important to help where you can. If you see someone in trouble, you can't leave them, can you?
You're too kind, Mercedes. Literally, I can't empathize.
I'm sure you can. You and I are very similar in that way.
Are you serious? How? We have nothing in common.
That may be so, but you thought I was in trouble, and you agreed to help, didn't you?
Well, I mean, yes.
That's exactly what I do. I'm so happy to have found a kindred spirit.
If that's what makes you happy, okay. Kindred spirits. Let's go with that.
Now that I've got you at my side, I can take on even more responsibilities.
Not a chance.
Mercedes, hello. I have a request for you.
Oh, Aloise. What could you possibly need at this hour?
A little birdie told me you're good at telling ghost stories.
I suppose I am.
So it's true. Excellent. I'd like to hear one of your finest ghost stories. Would you be amenable?
Goodness, you want me to share one? Well, certainly. I'm rarely asked to tell ghost stories. Which should I tell? Perhaps the one I heard in the monastery the other day.
Wait a moment.
Is something the matter?
Well, I was only asking whether you'd tell me. The telling itself will have to be another time.
Are you sure? It's no trouble right now.
No, I have to steel myself. I have something important to do.
I see. That's a shame, but I suppose it can't be helped. If you don't mind my asking, why the sudden interest in hearing a ghost story?
Well, you see, ghosts terrify me. But I'm a knight. Someday, somewhere, I may have to deal with one.
A knight who's afraid of ghosts.
Yes, It's quite embarrassing.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. Even knights can't be stoic toward everything. I'm impressed that you're working so hard to face your fear.
No, it's nothing, really.
I will tell you my scariest ghost story the next chance I get.
Oh, it needn't be your very scariest. A moderately scary story will suffice. Thank you for taking the time.
The time has come. I have been waiting to curse your soul with this tale of ghostly terror.
You have? Well, excellent. I won't run or hide.
Then we shall proceed. Our story begins when a friend of mine visited a graveyard in eastern Fargus.
Oh, wait.
Whatever is the matter, Eloise? I've barely just begun.
You got to the graveyard part so quickly. No warning at all. I wasn't ready. Ugh, listen to me. What kind of knight am I? Continue, Mercedes. I won't make another peep.
Very well, then. Now, where was I? Ah, yes. My friend went to visit his grandfather's grave, staying the night at a neighboring church. As darkness crept, he awoke to a strange sound. He peered out into the black of night to see a misshapen figure desecrating the graves. He barricaded himself in his room, waiting for the first glimmer of sunlight before fleeing the church. My friend soon learned that the graveyard was built on the ruins of an ancient battlefield. Legend says that the souls of knights who fell during the battle roam freely after dark. He was sure that the misshapen figure he saw was the ghost of a warrior searching for its earthly remains. After his stay at the church, my friend complained of restless nights and an unbearable weight on his chest. His closest friends and family feared a change in his eyes, as though it wasn't him occupying his body. No one knows for certain what happened that night. After years of isolation, his body was found in the very graveyard where it all began. Eloise? Did you hear me? I said, in the very graveyard where it all began.
Ah! What happened? Is it over? Oh, I blacked out after the part with the misshapen figure. Oh, I'm so pathetic. I'm a knight. I have to be ready to fight anywhere, even in a spooky graveyard.
I don't think many battles take place in graveyards in the middle of the night. But I suppose it's important to be prepared, isn't it?
Precisely. Please, Mercedes, help me prepare.
Of course. I'm happy to share another spooky story next time.
Is it over?
Yes, that's all there is. You listened all the way to the end.
Oh, Mercedes, thank you. And I didn't cover my ears even once.
There's no need to thank me. You're the one who did all the hard work. You should be proud of yourself. Now you can face any challenge on the battlefield without fear. I had always planned on working in the monastery once the war was over. But seeing knights like you makes me consider joining up.
You want to join the Knights of Seros?
Helping those in need with the goddess always at my side? I can't think of a better way to live.
I think the Knights of Seros wouldn't be quite what you expect. As a knight myself, I slew countless foes. I shudder at the memory of my own deeds. The corpses I made, heaped in a pile, would be like a mountain. I suppose that's why I'm so frightened of ghosts. What if they appear before me, seeking revenge? Perhaps it's a silly thing to worry about, but still.
I'm well aware of the nature of a knight's duty, but I no longer have anything to fear. I've been on the battlefield. I've killed my enemies many times.
I see. What would your parents think about you planning to become a knight?
My mother would respect my wishes, but my adoptive father would need to be persuaded.
Before you talk to them, I had better relate some of the darker chapters in the knight's history. It's your turn to listen, Mercedes.
Thank you, Eloise. And you should know, I intend to improve my ghost storytelling as well.
Pardon?
If I want to continue helping you, I'll have to seek out much scarier stories to share.
Oh, well, you needn't go to any trouble.
Nonsense! It's no trouble at all. Besides, we have to help each other the best we can.
I suppose that's true. Thank you.
What's this? Well, if it isn't Cyril. How did he manage to fall asleep here? The warmth must have put him right down. He looks so cute when he's napping. I'll just keep reading. No need to disturb him. Good morning, Cyril. Did you sleep well?
What? Where?
It's Mercedes. I thought you'd remember my name by now.
Oh, sorry. I know it, but it's hard to say.
You're from Elmira, aren't you? I hope you haven't been uncomfortable here at the Academy.
Ah, it's great. I eat every day.
Were you not eating before you came here?
Every couple days, maybe. It was rough.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Are you hungry? You should eat up, to make up for all the meals you missed in the past.
Okay. Thank you,
Just call me Mercy. That's what my friends call me.
Mercy. Mercy. Hey! Thanks, Mercy. Well, I had a good sleep, but there's work to do now. See ya.
It doesn't seem like he has very many friends here. It's troubling, but I probably shouldn't pry. Did Cyril fall asleep here again? There's nothing to cover him with. He'll catch cold if he's here too long. Oh well, I guess I have no other options. I'll have to take care of this myself.
Ah! What's happening?
I'm keeping you warm so you don't catch cold. I'm sorry. Did I make you uncomfortable?
I was just surprised. Thanks, Mercy.
Oh, I'm happy to hear you call me that. You know, I seem to find you in here pretty often. Do you have a favorite book?
Nah, but it's always real quiet here, so it's where I like to sleep.
I see. You always seem so wrapped up in your work. That is, whenever you're not sleeping in the library. Do you have many friends here?
No, not really.
But don't you want some? Having friends is much more fun than spending all of your time alone.
Nah, I don't want people treating me like an outsider. I'm better off alone.
An outsider? You? Who would possibly say?
Oh, so you don't think anyone thinks that? Should I tell you what happened to me before I came here?
Oh no, you really don't have to. I didn't mean to bring up such difficult memories. But you know, everyone here sees you as a friend. Even me. I see you as a good friend.
Mercy. I'm sorry. I sure like everyone here too, but it feels like you're, I don't know. It sounds weird maybe, but I think you're something different than a friend.
Different? In what way? Do you not like me?
No, it's not that. I can't... You know how sometimes you can't explain things? This is that. If I had a sister, I think that might be how it feels being around you.
Really? That's just as well. You remind me of my little brother.
Oh, you got a brother?
I do, but I haven't seen him in so long. It's almost like he's not really my brother anymore. But you can count on me if you need anything at all. I'll do my best to help you out.
I can count on you for anything? Wow.